Hi, everyone. I want to welcome you to Democracy for America's DFA Dialer program. My name is Ruby Reed, and I'm the Member Engagement Manager here at DFA. I'm so happy to see so many progressive activists from all across the country joining this training. As you know, we're here to make get out the vote calls. So you and I know that Bernie Sanders' transformative campaign for president has energized tens of thousands of new grassroots leaders and welcomed millions of new people into the political process. But we also know that this moment is not just about one campaign or one person. It's about all of us stepping up to organize, to lead campaigns, and to run for office ourselves. It's about doing this work up and down the ballot in all 50 states. It's about fighting income inequality, structural racism, and corporate control over our politics, our bodies, and our lives. And it's about building a more reflective democracy, where our country's elected bodies and our leaders reflect the great diversity, experience, and background of the constituents that they're supposed to represent. Together, we can build that reflective democracy in cities like Stockton, where we're calling voters tonight, and in your hometown. So this shift of DFA Dialer, we're calling for progressive champion Michael Tubbs. Now, Michael Tubbs is a DFA-endorsed candidate running for mayor of Stockton. Some of you may have seen the incredible introduction that Michael gave for Bernie Sanders just a couple of weeks ago in Stockton. Also recently, DFA members across the country have hosted private screenings of a documentary film about Michael's very first campaign for city council back in 2012. The film, True Son, really sums up the nitty-gritty of how to run a grassroots campaign rooted in progressive values, and it shows exactly the kind of work we need to do everywhere. So a special shout out to those of you who hosted or attended those True Son watch parties. You all know what I'm talking about. We all believe it's crucial to deeply invest in our local communities, to build relationships among neighbors, and to support organizers and candidates at the local level in order to build a more reflective democracy for everyone. DFA Dialer is designed to build momentum for progressive champions like Michael Tubbs, Kamala Harris, and Bernie Sanders so they can emerge victorious from their primaries on June 7th and go on to win in November. In order to really fully support these candidates up and down the ballot, we need to contact a lot of voters, so every single call that you make today really matters. So for those of you who haven't seen the film or who want to know a little more about Michael, at the age of 23, Michael became the youngest council member in Stockton's history. He defeated an entrenched incumbent by double digits. So when he started campaigning, really people laughed at him. They thought it was a joke, right? This young kid from South Stockton. But he ran an incredible grassroots progressive campaign that just shocked the establishment to its core. Michael himself is no stranger to hardship. He was born to a teenage mother and an incarcerated father. He ended up going to Stanford, where he also had the opportunity to intern at Google and at the White House. Now, his internship at the White House, he was responsible for helping to craft President Obama's strategy for engaging with mayors and city councils throughout the country. So he knows a little bit about how to help and support and run really high-quality local government. So while he was at school, when he was at Stanford, his cousin was tragically murdered, and Michael felt he needed to return to Stockton and help reinvent this community that he loved, that was facing unprecedented violence, foreclosures, homelessness. So after graduating from Stanford with a master's degree and his bachelor's degree, Michael returned home to Stockton and dedicated himself to serving his community. Over the past few years as council member, Michael has recruited new leaders, inspired youth, helped to encourage community engagement, supported sustainable business development in Stockton. DFA is very, very proud to support Michael, and we're really excited to get you all on the phone talking to Stockton voters about him. So the folks we're going to be calling tonight are progressives, so we expect they're going to be pretty open to our message. And the folks that we've already called in this universe, many of them are just supporting Michael right off the bat, but a lot of them want some more information. And, you know, once they learn a little bit more about Michael, of course, they're excited about him. But there are a lot of candidates in the race, and so it's going to be important to make sure that, you know, we're identifying who's supporting and who's undecided. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that in a few minutes. But first, I'm going to quickly review how to get online and make these phone calls. Please go ahead and enter your name, email, phone, and zip code. And if it's your first time using Hub Dialer, check that box too. So you're going to enter in again, name, email, phone, and zip code, and then click Login. On the next page, you can preview the script that we're going to be using. So I'm going to pause here on the technical stuff, and we're going to talk a little bit about the script so you can read through and check it out. I'm just going to hit a couple of highlights. So it starts out with asking folks if they've heard about Michael Tubbs. Some people might have heard about him and some people might not have. So there's a little blurb of information that you can give folks if they say, no, I don't know who Michael Tubbs is, or tell me more about him. The second piece is you want to make sure that you're asking, once you've introduced them to Michael, or if they're already familiar, you want to ask them if they will commit to voting for Michael. And you're only going to continue going through the script and offering the person the polling place and walking through their voting plan if they're supporting Michael. If they're undecided or unsure, you're not going to walk them through the voting plan. The other note is that a lot of folks in California vote by mail, and ballots have already dropped, so folks are voting right now. And some of the folks on this list are permanent vote-by-mail voters, so you want to make sure to encourage them to fill in the ballot as soon as possible and mail it off, and not to wait until the last minute. We just wanted to call your attention to the fact that some of these voters indeed vote by mail, and so they can vote right now. Couple of quick tips. Have fun. You're talking to interesting people about a really exciting campaign and how it relates to what they care about in their community. So smile, connect with the voter, have fun with these calls. Second thing is it's okay to not know the answer to every question. Nobody expects you to be an expert on every single issue going on in Stockton right now. So if someone asks a question and you don't know how to answer it, or the topic's not covered in the materials that we've provided you, just tell the voter, I don't know the answer to that question, so I'm going to make a note and we'll get back to you with an answer. And we will. The campaign is really carefully reading all of your notes and following up with voters accordingly. So if someone has a question, it's perfectly fine to say, I don't know the answer, but we'll find out and let you know. And then just make sure you take really copious notes, which leads perfectly to quick tip number 3, which is track everything. So making sure that you're writing out notes when that's necessary, but also making sure that you're going to check the box if they will commit to supporting Michael. You want to make sure that you are recording the results of every single call. Now, the fourth piece of quick tips before we move on is to say the disclaimer at the end. Even though it might sound awkward, it's an important legal statement to let everybody know that these calls are paid for by Democracy for America and approved by Michael Tubbs' campaign. So please make sure that you do say that legal statement at the end of the script. All right, so now that we've gone through some of the highlights of the script, let's talk about what's going to happen next. So on the page that you're looking at with the script, I want you to scroll all the way to the very bottom of that page and click the Let's Get Started button. So click Let's Get Started, and then on the next screen, you should see that Hub Dialer is asking for your phone number. So you want to enter in the phone number that you want Hub Dialer to call you back on. Just enter the digits with no dashes or spaces or parentheses. Go ahead and enter in your phone number now, but please wait to click Call Me until this training is finished. After you click Call Me, the Hub Dialer is going to call you on your phone. And for those of you who have used Hub Dialer before, everything else after this point is the same as you've done before. So you can feel free to drop off and start talking to voters. But if it's your first time using Hub Dialer, we'd love for you to stay on, and you'll hear what is going to happen after you click that Call Me button. So within a few seconds of clicking that Call Me button, your phone's going to ring and you'll hear your agent ID number. So your agent ID tells the computer and the phone that you are the person who's making these calls. So type your agent ID number on your computer and stay on the phone. Don't hang up. The agent ID will be repeated until you type it in and click Start Calls. If you're seeing something on your screen right now that's asking for an agent ID, you just clicked Call Me a bit too soon. So when we finish this training, Hub Dialer can send another call to your phone. So there will be a button that says Send Another Call if Hub Dialer isn't able to reach you the first time. Now once you enter in your agent ID and click Start Calls, it can be really quick when you get your first live voter, so make sure that you're actually ready to start talking to people when you click Start Calls. You're going to hear some music and you'll see Please Wait on your computer screen. The music may last only just a few seconds or up to a minute. When you're connected to the first person, the hold music is going to stop, and you'll hear a beep, and you'll see the script and the voter's name pop up on your screen. So as soon as you hear that beep, it means the voter has already answered the phone and they've already said hello. So you got to go right into the script as soon as you hear that beep. So you're just going to launch right into it. Hi, this is Ruby. I'm a volunteer with Democracy for America, blah, blah, blah. You don't want to pause at all when you hear that beep because oftentimes voters will think nobody's there. You know, they said hello and nobody said anything, so then they hang up on you, and that's sad. So the dialer is going to screen out most answering machines, but every once in a while an answering machine will sneak through. So if you do get connected to an answering machine, don't leave a message. Just click "This is an answering machine" at the top of your page, and you'll automatically be moved back into the hold queue to take your next call. When you talk to voters, make sure that you record the results of every single call like we talked about. If the voter is not explicit, I want you to use your best judgment to indicate where you think they are on the spectrum of support. So if someone doesn't say, yes, I'm definitely voting for Michael Tubbs, you want to put them in the undecided category so that we can make sure to follow up with that person and give them enough information so that they can decide that they are indeed going to commit to vote for Michael Tubbs. You're going to include all the details about your conversations in the notes box on the left side of the screen. The campaign is going to be following up with voters personally based on what you say in those notes, so make sure you capture everything that's relevant about the conversation. Once your call is complete, just say goodbye and wait for the person to hang up. You're not going to hang up your phone. Make sure that all the information that you gathered on the call has been entered correctly and thoroughly. Once the voter is hung up, you can stay on this screen as long as you need to type in the results of the call before you move on to talking to the next person. Now, when you're ready to talk to that next person, just click Next Call, and you'll hear hold music and wait to talk to the next voter. When you don't want to take any more calls, or if you just need to take a break during your shift, click This is my last call. This tells the computer to stop sending you voters to talk to. Then you can hang up your phone. If you're just taking a break, you can easily log back in and start taking calls when you're ready. This is also my #1 troubleshooting tip for everyone. If you ever get stuck or you run into any trouble on the dialer, or if you hang up your phone by accident, just log out and log back in again. That's going to solve most any problem that you might encounter. I wanted to let you all know that the dialer is going to run until 9 p.m. Pacific tonight. So you've got a long time to potentially be able to make these calls. And this campaign is going to be open from 9 in the morning until 9 at night Pacific time between now and the election. So you are welcome to, now that you are trained and excited and amped, you can log in anytime between 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. Pacific, and you'll be able to make these calls for Michael Tubbs. So we encourage everyone to stay on for at least an hour right now tonight, because these are the most important voters. We really need to talk to them, and they're waiting to hear from you. So to thank you for your staying power on the calls, either Jim Dean, our chair, or Charles Chamberlain, our executive director, one of them will call you personally to thank you if you're able to stay on for an hour or more today. Thank you so much for your time this evening. Again, every single one of these calls could be the margin of victory, so I really appreciate you making them, and I hope that you'll be able to stay on at least an hour. I know Jim and Charlie are really looking forward to personally thanking you for your volunteer time. So this concludes the training portion of tonight's DFA Dialer shift. So if you're ready to start making calls, and we hope that you are, please go ahead and enter your name, email, phone, and zip code. And if it's your first time using Hub Dialer, check that box too. So you're going to enter in again, name, email, phone, and zip code, and then click Login.